Hi, welcome to Formula Creative Studios. I am Lawrence Unkocha. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a very interesting topic, and it is on how to make independent films. I've been able to make independent films. Some were actually short films, while one was a feature-length film. So I'm going to be sharing with you some tips that I used to make independent film even without any experience on a professional set. Even though I plan to improve my filmmaking on more professional sets, there are so many things that you will not be taught in film school, and it's good for you to actually experiment things and try things out for yourself before you get to spend very huge budget in making film. If you have a very interesting idea and you want to try it out and see what it looks like on screen, you can gather a few friends together and use these tips I'm going to be sharing with you in order to be able to produce your own independent film and see what it looks like. So without further ado, let's get to it. Number one, make up your mind. Now, making an independent film that has not been sponsored, especially as an amateur, is very taxing. Personally, I feel one of the most difficult jobs in the world is to make a film. It's very stressful, it's very demanding. You have to spend so many days on set, you have to spend so much time, you have to do many takes, you have to ensure that you actually get what you really want or what you've envisioned, what you've pictured in your mind. So trying things out has a lot to do with starting out in the filmmaking industry. So first of all, you need to learn how to make up your mind. Make up your mind if this is what you actually want to do. Making films, I'll tell you, is a very great adventure, but it is also one of the most difficult things to do in the world, because you have to imagine, if you're a director, you have to imagine the characters and ensure that they're actually getting what you have directly on the script. If you're the script writer, you have to ensure that you script the actions of the actors exactly how you want them to appear on the screen. So making up your mind is a very important tip, and that is the first thing that you should do. Number two, write a script based on equipment and resources that you have. Now, writing a script based on the equipment and the resources you have cannot be overemphasized. It's very good for you to explore your creativity and actually write what you have at heart, but it's also important for you to know if you can be able to achieve what you want to do on screen. If you don't have the human resources available, like for instance, if you write a character with the Tom Cruise brand in mind, you're very sure that you cannot find a Tom Cruise around, right? So it's very possible that your film might not attain the kind of quality that it should. Or like if you write a film with the Avengers Endgame scenery kind of green screen and visual effects, then you know that that is very close to being unattainable, because you have a smaller team, but 800 and even thousands of people work with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you have to think about the resources available at your disposal and the best you can actually do with what you have in terms of human resources and equipment in order to be able to achieve the kind of film that you want. So while scripting, if you are the one doing the complete script, you need to ensure that you script what you can actually achieve with your team. And if you are working with writers, ensure that you explain to them exactly what you want to achieve and what you have to achieve this. Nevertheless, I also advise you to explore your creativity. It becomes a discipline to understand how to maximize what you have at any given point in order to give you what you have in mind. Before I go to number three, I will first have to specify that the two parts of making up your mind and actually scripting for your equipment and human resources is the first part of production, which is usually referred to as pre-production. But I also advise you that you should not neglect this part, because it is one of the most important parts of any good film production. Then after the pre-production, you have to now go to the production, the main production, and the main production involves a number of parts which I'll be sharing with you. If you find this video valuable, I'd like you to hit the like button and subscribe if you have not done so that YouTube can be able to show this video to all those who are looking for interesting tips that they can use to make their first independent film. Number three, Now you have to understand color grade and emotions. Every major film has the color grade and emotion they use to actually paint the pictures in that particular movie. Now you must understand the different color grades and what they actually represent, the toning of the effects of every scenery, so it can help you to be able to adjust your lighting. Now this comes to the fact that you need to work with a very good cinematographer to be able to interpret the emotions written on the script in pictorial forms. Now it doesn't just end in the manipulation of light, but it also goes into toning. So if possible and if you can afford it, you need to hire a tone and a color grade artist. Every scene has what the kind of emotion they actually convey. So some scenes are actually very cold, having cold feelings, and some scenes have more lighter emotions. So those colors you play with on screen is very, very important in the communication of your message. This is a very important part of production. Number 4, casting. Now casting can be a major part of your filmmaking process, because if you don't have committed casting members that are willing to give in everything in order to be able to bring a paper character to life, then your film will be very boring. So you need to ensure that you have very good cast that will be willing to sacrifice almost anything in order to be able to achieve the common goal, and which is the project of the film you are trying to make. So casting is a very important step in your filmmaking process. So in as much as you may be using people you may know and people you feel have the talent to actually portray the films, if you have money, you can actually go and hire people that are going to help with your sets to make it have this professional feel, and also to give it this sense of being serious. So your entire cast must be willing to give their best in order to be able to achieve the paper characters and bring them to life. Number 5, sound. You could be forgiven for not having very, very clear visuals, but you can never be forgiven for having unclear sound. So you need to pay very close attention to your sound to ensure that your sound is top notch and your viewers can be able to hear you very properly. So as much as you can, get very good boom mics and quality mics that can be able to catch the sound of your different characters and actually give you exactly what you want. You could also make use of lapel mic and every other form of good mic that is going to give you the best quality sound that you would have in the film that you're making. Also, don't neglect the place of special sound effects. Now, special sound effect is a very huge part of every filmmaking process. Those creaks on the door, the sound of splashing water, and every other thing that comes in as a special sound effect in a film is a very important part, because it evokes and is responsible for about 40 to 60% of the emotion that your viewer or the audience that eventually sees your cinematic product feel when they see this movie. So as you look at the film that has been produced, what actually evokes those emotions apart from the visuals you're looking at is the sound. The sound is a very huge part of what you are trying to make. So number 6, locations. Locations is another very pivotal part of the filmmaking process. You should be able to pick very good locations, the best locations around you. You really don't need to break the bank in order to be able to go to good locations. You just need to be more observant, and the locations you can't get to go to, you have to learn how to manipulate a place in order to be able to achieve such feats. So locations is a very important part of your filmmaking process, because the location also makes and brings the scene to life. It literally lifts the scene out of the script you've made and brings it to life. It gives that feeling of reality to every of the scene that you make. So making the locations look good and also bringing in the proper props and every other thing that will be needed to give your location a good feel is a very important part of your filmmaking process. Number 7, backups. Now, it is a very, very disheartening thing to lose a work that you have been doing for a very long time. So it's very important for you to always back up your files to ensure that you are achieving the work you're doing and it is also being saved. So back up your files as much as you can. You should back it up in your hard disks, on your computers, and as much as possible, do this in many places until until you've made the final cut of your movie. Ensure you back up the file so that you don't get to lose files due to unaccountability and lose so many days and perhaps months of work. So backups is a very important part of the production process. So if you found this video very valuable, I would like you to hit the like button and also subscribe if you are just new to this channel. So with toning, casting, sound, locations and backups, we've come to the end of the production process now, but that's not the end of the filmmaking process yet. You still have so much more to do. As a matter of fact, I consider the filmmaking process to be a bulk work of the pre-production, which involves like you thinking and making up your mind about making your film. So with that being said, number 8, editing. Now editing is a very important part you should always consider while making any visual production, be it a short video for your YouTube channel or even a feature-length movie or even a short movie. You shouldn't just shoot without editing. There are different camera angles, and even if you use a mixing visual application or software to mix your different shots, it's also very important for you to cut out some unnecessary parts and also ensure that the entire rendition of the movie is eye-catching and doesn't take people off screen as they watch your movie. The idea about filmmaking is to always ensure that your viewer is engrossed in the filmmaking process and he actually enjoys every single step of the cinematic experience. So editing is a very important part. You include your multiple angles, you include sound effects, you include slow motion and speed blurs and different things that you can actually achieve at your level of editing. I always advise everybody to use your own level of editing. In as much as CGIs, which are computer generated images, look very good on screen, it's very important for you to start with your own level of editing. So with that, we go to number 9, the final cut. So if you are the director or the major producer in the film, it is important for you to have a second eye, see the film you've made after you made the final cut. Perhaps if you didn't get to edit the film and you outsourced that job to a professional editor, then you should be able to see the entire job and ensure that the editing is actually top notch and it's exactly what you had in mind or very close to what you had in mind. So the final cut is a very important part of the process because you don't want to be seeing major mistakes and scenes that are not supposed to be in your final cut. So having a second eye look at the final cut of your movie before you actually put it out there for the public, which is a place where you actually encounter a lot of critiques. So now to the 10th and the final tip, number 10, premiere and promotions. It is the most important part of your film. If you finish making a film, you should put in twice as much effort you used to make the film to actually premiere this film and promote it. You need to promote your film so that people could see what you've done and actually give you honest reviews or perhaps just tell you what they think about what you have done. It's very important because you need to be able to show your work to other people in order for them to tell you the good sides and the bad sides where you could improve and actually get better. So there's no essence of actually making a film or a cinematic product if you don't put it out there and promote it so that it would get to the eyes of people that are supposed to see it. So before you attain that big epiphany production character of being someone like James Cameron or I think a very huge status of producing very interesting movies like the DC and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you must first of all start with what you have. So if it's a very good phone, an iPhone or a Samsung or a very good phone you have, or a very good DSLR camera you have, it is important for you to put it out there and use it to achieve what you have in mind. So with that, you begin to learn in the process. So every day is about learning. Your work can never be perfect. Even what you do today might not seem as perfect as it should be tomorrow. So you need to gather all these experiences and make it part of your portfolio as you continue to grow as a filmmaker. With this, I've come to the end of today's video where I shared 10 tips on how you can achieve independent films as a filmmaker. So this brings us to the end of today's video. But before I go, let me give you the bonus tip. The bonus tip I have for you today is always learn to ask. It's very important as an independent filmmaker or as an amateur trying to start out. You don't have so many things, so it is very important, since your budget is very low and probably not good enough to attain the kind of thing you have in mind. It's important for you to ask for help. Perhaps you could approach a professional actor to grace your screen, just increase the brand of the kind of film you're trying to make. You could ask for help. Some actors tend to help young filmmakers in order to be able to appear on their screen and actually give their film a higher level of branding. So as you make your plans, learn how to ask for resources that can be able to help you. You ask for help with locations, ask for help with mobility and movements and vehicles you'll be using to convey your cast from their homes or from your camping spot to the locations. So with this, I've come to the end of today's video. I hope you found immense value from these 10 tips I've shared with you on how you can achieve your own independent film as a filmmaker who is starting out. So if you like the video you watched, I would like you to hit the like button so that YouTube can be able to show this video to as many people as possible. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get to see all of my other videos as I make exposition on different interesting topics on visual creation.